Hello and welcome back. This is Jijo. This video I'm gonna this is a second video on the cat changes. I put up the video when the cat announced the change. They're gonna create the paper or the change the duration of each of the section to 40 minutes each, and overall there's 2 hours instead of the 3 hour paper with 1 hour for each of the sections. And then we said that let's wait and see what they had to say. They said that they're gonna say something by the 20th, but this did I say anything more? Actually, they did not. Okay, so now we are here and trying to make sense of how to prepare, how to manage this test. We have been preparing for one. So this is where we were, right? So we were. I'm sure that if you look at this part for Cat 15, Cat 16, Cat 17, Cat 18, Cat 19, all these last 5 years, it had the 34 questions of V8, 32 questions of DI, and 34 questions of QA. So it was VARC was 34, DLR was 32, and QA was 34. And within this, this was what 24 questions of reading comprehension, which came from 5 passages, plus 10 question of VA, which has got 4 paragraph jumble questions, 3 paragraph summary questions, 3 odd sentence in a paragraph. That was the case from 2015 till 19. And this DLR had 8 sets multiplied by 4 questions. That is the 32 questions. Q had the 34 questions throughout the period of time, and we are kind of used to one kind of a style. We are preparing for it. We have taken mock tests, and now we are here. Uh, we're almost thinking what to do, and we were hoping that by the 20th, Cat will let us know at least something. Cat says, "Nah, we'll keep it a secret. It's got to be a secret." Now here we are, and we have to now sit and make sense of the whole thing. So this is the video to give my perspective on that, ladies and gentlemen. And 3 things we'll talk. Number one, we'll talk about what we know. Nothing much has changed, but we'll talk about certain things that we know. And then we have speculations. What could be the pattern? Because reasonably logical predictions we have to make. But we have to prepare, right? So we have to keep something in mind. We have to use some logic, so that at least we know that we can ensure that our preparation is in the direction of us doing well in the CAD. And then we'll also talk about a few impact. One of the thing they have said though was that somewhere in October they'll come out with a mock test. This is a let me call the official mock test. I'm gonna call it OMT. Okay, official mock test, CAT official mock test. So I'm gonna call it OMT. But now on, if I'm gonna say OMT, that means the official mock test by the IM. So they're going to give by October, but probably by then we'll get some direction in terms of what the paper is likely going to be. Because please do understand there are 3 slots. Like there is a morning slot, afternoon slot, evening slot. There are some. So there is someone who's taking the test in the morning slot, and his or her score has to be compared with someone who's taking the test in the evening slot. They have that normalization process of the score, which I'll explain a bit in a bit. So for that to happen, obviously the morning slot paper should be very similar to the evening slot paper. Obviously math will still work in terms of normalization, but it'll create a huge problem. So at some given that in mind, whatever is the sample paper, mock test, official mock ad, by and large we can probably expect that to be the paper there. So once that official mock test OMT comes out, we know the OMT, we'll get some sense in terms of what the paper is likely going to be. Well, what about till then? October can be October, first week, second week, third week, fourth week. What do we do? What do we do during this period of time? And how do I look at the whole preparation? I'm sure that whichever mock test that you're taking from whichever institute that you've joined, uh, people will come out with a test, but those mock tests, so from institute, those mock tests that you're going to take during this period of time is also mock tests based on a certain speculations, right? So we have to get this. I think we'll have to use some logical predictions in terms of what could be the case. These predictions can go wrong. All predictions are that predictions, but we have to make some sense in terms of what it could be. At least create some scenarios saying that okay, scenario number one, what is the likely thing? Scenario number two is scenario number three, and at least get ourselves tuned to that preparation. And then obviously this is also going to have a huge impact on our preparation. So we are not used to this. At least now we are not used to preparing with an uncertainty in mind. It used to be the case during my time when I took the CAT, or even CAT from till 2008. It used to be a test because nobody knew this was a paper-based test. There was just one slot. Everybody, the CAT used to throw surprises year after year, but people used to realize the surprise on the day of the test. That's how CAT used to be. So the preparation those days was without knowing what the pattern likely could be. So every mock had a different flavor anyway. So people were kind of prepared for any eventuality. But that is not the case how it was, at least now. That is not the case how it was now. So, and plus we don't have too much time, right? So the announcement was made in the month of September when the exam is going to be in November. Should have told us in July. Why did you wait till September? So okay, fair enough, fair enough. Uh, so we have to look at some certain impact, and during this period of time we end up doing some useless things and stuff like that. We have to avoid doing useless stuff. Anything you have to you do some things that are useful, right? So we have to think that needs to be useful. That's the impact that I'm going to talk about. Okay, let's start with what we know, ladies and gentlemen. This is what the CAT convener has said. The CAT convener had said this. I hope I got his photographs correct. It was a Google search photograph. I hope if I made a mistake, I'm really sorry. I hope I got the picture right. Okay, now this is what the convener is saying. CAT generally does not reveal the number and type of questions or the paper pattern. In fact, the CAT pattern is regularly changed. CAT pattern regularly changed so that the exam does not become predictable. However, it has already been announced on the CAT website. The number of sections this year will be 3, 40 minutes each. So basically saying that I'm going to keep it a secret. Actually, this doesn't make much sense. Okay, so the couple of issues I had. I'm sure that this statement is what this statement is, but CAT does not become predictable. I don't think I think that the reason why they changed was because of COVID. Was it because of the fact that they have to change and not make it predictable? And what do you mean? It makes sense if the paper was one slot, everybody takes a test during that one slot, but you're actually giving morning slot, afternoon slot, and evening slot. And whom am I going to surprise? The element of surprise is only for the morning slot guys. The evening slot guys, if the paper pattern remains same, the evening slot guy at least will come to know what the pattern is. Obviously, he can't prepare anything on that day. It's like morning something came out, the whole day I'm going to sit and prepare. But it's an element of surprise. The element of surprise is going to be for the morning slot guys. The element of surprise is not going to be for the evening slot guy. Obviously, by knowing that this is the paper pattern in the morning slot does not mean that the evening slot guy has got time to kind of prepare for it, but at least that element of surprise is taken away. So for example, if let's say each section is 50 questions each, very unlikely scenario, but imagine this. Oh, the morning slot guy is going, oh my goodness, what that is. And the evening slot guy will get to know this at least has got a certain time, at least about 3 to 4 hours, thinking about, okay, what should I do with the 50? Okay, I should not be I should not be worried. Okay, let me go and take a, obviously he cannot prepare anything, but at least he the frame of mind. So that element of surprise is not the case. Other thing they could do is obviously surprise everywhere. Morning slot 50 question, evening slot 30, the afternoon 30, evening 25. If you create paper like this, obviously, yeah, that's how do you do normalization? Obviously normalization will still work, but from whatever calculation that is being done, from what I've seen normalization process to work, the calculation is based on a raw score of each of the slot. So which means the total number of questions has to be same. So this is going to be unlikely. So I don't know what this statement means. Does not become predictable. I know what this means. Okay, CAT does not reveal the number of question type of paper pattern. That's another thing. But you 15, 16, CAT 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. All these years it was the same. So why in 2020 suddenly realized, no, 2020 is a different year, we should change stuff. Anyways, but this is at least not making sense to me. Maybe makes sense to you, fair enough. I'm going to say what I have in my mind, all right? The second thing is that to familiar themselves with the different type of questions, MCQ, non-MCQ, candidates are advised to take the mock test, which will be become available. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so basically it's saying that everything is going to be based on the official mock test. We'll have to wait for the official mock test. But that's in October. What do we do now? The website, as in the FAQ section, not much changes. One thing that they have still said is each correct answer is awarded 3 marks, and incorrect answer -1 mark for the MCQ question. Non-MCQ question, obviously, incorrect answer will get 0. So the logic of this is that what is the logic of 3 and -1? The logic is very simple. If you have 4 answer choices, and if you randomly mark, let's say question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, question number 4, and the answer choices A, B, C, D, 4 answer choices. And let's say you randomly marked C everywhere. So you mark C here, you mark C here, you mark C here, C here. The probability of getting is one question correct is 1/4, right? Because there are 4 answer choices. Probability of getting is 1/4, and probability of getting an answer wrong is 3/4, right? So by that logic, 1/4 multiplied by the 3 marks that you'll get awarded minus the negative mark of 1 for the 3/4. That's the probability. This will turn out to be 0. Okay. Basically, what that means is, assuming that you mark C, C, C everywhere, one of the question is likely going to be correct if you leave it to probability, and 3 of them will be wrong if you leave it to probability. For this question, you will get 3 marks, and this one you will get -1 mark. The net score will become 0. So it's kind of a zero-sum gambling game. Okay. One of the things they could have done is that they could have had 25 questions each of this section, and to create a cute number, what if each question carried 4 marks? Had each question carried 4 marks, then the total would have been 100. And that would amazing. So now to make the same logic here, what they had to give here was to give 5 options instead of 4 options. Now, if you have 5 options, A, B, C, D, E, the probability of getting one question correct is now 1/5. Correct. 1/5 the probability, which means, let's say if there is questions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and all the questions you mark, let's say C, the logic tells me that one of the question may be right. So the probability tells me one of the question is right and 4 of the question would be wrong. For the right answer choice, if I award 4 marks and the wrong answer, I award 1 mark, -1 mark, 4 minus 4 will become 0. So that would have had the same logic as this. And I would want to, if this would have given you a very cute number, right? It would have been given a very cute number. The 100 marks each, 300 marks in paper, that's 25, 25, 25. It would have been good, but they have said that it's 3 marks. So this is not going to happen. At least that's what I thought. Would have made good sense. Anyway, so carrying on, ladies and gentlemen, carrying on. Okay. Does CAT 2020 have a syllabus for exam preparation? No, there is no syllabus. We're going to ask anything. CAT does not have a defined syllabus. We'll ask anything. Question number 1, who is the president of Uganda? Answer. Obviously, they will have. I'm saying I'm sure that, yeah. So this is an aptitude. This is a test that you are designing for admitting students into a management program. The test is actually testing certain skill sets. I'm sure there is some logical syllabus to it. Okay. I'm sure. I don't know. Anyways, this is not a crib, okay? So this is not a crib. I'm just saying. Okay. Fair enough. There's no defined syllabus. However, you can attempt the mock test, official mock test, OMT, to understand the pattern of the examination. So basically saying that they are going to give you an official mock test to understand the pattern. If they're not going to give you an official mock test to understand the pattern, why don't you tell the pattern now? Why you have to give a mock test? Just tell us the pattern. No, just tell us the pattern. Why are you giving a mock test to understand? Only mock test. You solve the mock test, then you'll understand the pattern. Fair enough. Accepted. Challenge accepted. Ladies and gentlemen, challenge accepted. Okay. One more thing is talking about this. They have given how the score is scaled. A scale score. There are the scale score, and there is this amazing formula that is given. Okay. So this is. Let me explain this formula for the time being for those of you. this is. I'm saying. not needed, but let's understand. Let me look about what is a G, what is a G1, what is this M1, M101. Basic formula is a simple formula. Okay, so there is slot 1, there is slot 2, and there is slot 3. Okay, let's take a section which is, let's say, QA, and let's assume that you attempted the paper in slot number 1, and your raw score is R. So that is your score. Okay, and to do the scaling process, what they're doing two calculation. One thing they've done is they have taken the mean score, average score of people from slot number 1, average score of people in slot number 2, average score of people in slot number 3, and the overall average across all the 3 slots. That's a mean score. Another thing they also did was they found out the standard deviation of the score in slot number 1, slot number 2, slot number 3, and the standard deviation here as well. And then what they've done is they added these two things together, and that's what they call this G. So this is your G1, this is a G2, this is G3. This formula is for someone who has taken the test in slot number 1. So therefore the G1 there. If the slot number 2 was there, this would have been G2. Okay, so that's what it is. This is the overall G. Overall mean plus standard deviation. Okay, so that's what they did. What is this M01 and M101? So other thing they also looked at, they're looking at is that the top 0.1% of the students in the slot, the heroes of each slot. Let's take their mean score. The mean score of slot number 1 of the top 0.1, mean score of slot number 2 of the top 0.1, mean score in slot number 3 of top 0.1, and the mean score for the entire. So I put everyone together and their mean score of O1. Okay. And basically, if you have taken the test here, and that's your raw score here, they take the G1 that is there, your raw score minus the G1 score. So which means your score minus kind of treat G1 as an average score. Your score, how far are you away from your average score? And by multiplying this particular factor here, which is taking care of this, this is the difference between the mean score of the toppers minus overall average score, so to speak, and this is the difference of the person in your slot plus this overall G. So eventually it comes to so these are the scaling process is being done. For all this to work, the raw score across all the 3 sections, the total number of questions has to be same, or if there is too much of variation, this formula, it will still work. The formula by still is going to work, but you cannot have too many variation in terms of type of question, difficulty level. So my basic logic is that for this to work, your paper should be by and large similar. Okay. Another thing that they also revealed is that there are these slots. Morning slot, morning session is 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Afternoon slot is 12:30 p.m. 2:30 p.m. Evening slot is 4:30 6:30 p.m. And I'm thinking, what is this slot? 12:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. When will I have lunch? Imagine a 12:30 p.m. 12:30 p.m. to a 2:30 p.m. slot. You are supposed to arrive at the venue 1 hour before. So that is 11:30 p.m. You'll go to the venue. Now it's COVID, so you've got mask and stuff. It's not going to be easy to eat. Okay, you've got gear, and then you'll probably going to leave home a little early. So may end up leaving home, let's say at 11 a.m. This is a.m. Okay, not p.m. Okay, 11 a.m. you leave home. So when will you have breakfast? Maybe you'll have breakfast, let's say about 9 a.m. You will have breakfast 9 a.m., 10 a.m. You leave home at 11 a.m., reach the venue. Your test start from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. After that, probably you will leave the 3 p.m. and then reach your home at, let's say, about 4 p.m. And hopefully very excited. Cat was very good. When will they have lunch? What is this slot? What is this time slot? Whoever has afternoon slot, I think 1 month before that, no, you ensure that your lunch, please take care of it. But this is going to be a crazy slot, and I mean this is like 8:30 a.m. 8:30 a.m. which is still fine. 8:30 a.m. would mean that I have to reach that venue at 7:30 a.m., which means I probably have to leave my house at about 7 a.m. if it is at least half an hour away. For some of you, maybe it's like even far, so maybe 1 hour, which means I have to get up. I don't know what time, 6 a.m., 5 a.m. All right. So they created 3 slots. Which what can they do? I'm sure I'm not. This is this is a cute slot thing. 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. is kind of a cute slot, a cutest slot. This is the most deadliest slot of all. This is a slightly painful slot. So if you get 4:30 p.m., 6:30 p.m., awesome. The people are getting this afternoon slot. I have also applied. I don't know which slot I'm going to get. If I'm going to get this slot, I'm not writing this test. I will. This is too much. This is too much. Okay. Anyways, moving on, ladies and gentlemen. So the point is, what do we know? What do we know? We only know that there are 40 minutes in each of the section, and everything else is a secret. We'll not tell you. We're gonna surprise you in the test, like a birthday. Okay, we'll not tell you what is a gift. You open the gift and no. So cat is a gift. You open it. Then you'll get to know. Oh, wonderful. All right. So VRC is going to be 40 minutes. DLR is going to be 40 minutes. QA is going to be 40 minutes. The question is, how many questions would be there? What is the type of questions? Would it matter? What about level of difficulty? Would it be easy? Will it be difficult? People. So what is going to happen? I think the level of difficulty is something that I'm not really concerned, because if it's going to be difficult for me, it's going to be difficult for everyone. And plus the scaling score that I explained here kind of will take care of whatever difference in level of difficulty across slot as well. So because they are taking the mean score, right? The mean score and the standard deviation will take care of the difference in level of difficulty. I'm not worried. At the end of the day, if I'm better prepared than someone, whatever be the level of difficulty of the paper, I will do better than that person. But the number of questions should be very bit. Okay, maybe, but the type of questions, okay, at least for QA, you will anyway not get to know exactly how many questions is going to come from arithmetic algebra. You never knew that. But probably from VRC, we know that RC is going to be there. But what is this VA all about? Is it going to be the same paragraph jumble, paragraph summary, odd sentence, or they're going to give grammar-based questions, or vocabulary based questions? I think that anything can happen there. So that could be so how do we treat about all this? How many questions, how many sets of DLR will come? Will I get more sets? Will I get less sets, and so on and so forth? So we don't know. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we have to make some speculations, and we have make some logical speculations. Okay, I have taken 3 cases of the total number of questions. In terms of case number 1 is around 20 each, case number 2 is 25 each, case number 3 is 30 each. I'm saying this is plus or minus 3. The 30 can be 33, 33 also, like closer to 100. So I've just taken a case. It can even be somewhere between these two things or those two things. I've just taken the skewed numbers: 20 question each, 25 question each, and 30 questions each. Okay. And so one of the things that you must understand is that if there are more number of questions, whether it is good or bad. So imagine, for example, imagine a paper that has got 40 questions in a section. Now imagine there is 40 questions in QA. Imagine there is 40 questions in QA, and imagine in QA paper there are this 20 questions. Okay, let's imagine these experiments. 40 question obviously is not going to be the case. Okay, but let's just imagine that QA in 40 minutes had 40 questions, which net you have 1 minute per questions. 40 minutes, 20 questions, you've got 2 minutes per question. Okay, a lot of people have this attitude that if the number of question is less, the level of difficulty of the paper will increase. The number of question is more, the level they will by design is going to come down. Actually, that is not the case. Eventually, please understand that there are these very easy question, easy to moderate question, moderate to difficult question, and difficult question. There could be some maths question which can be done in less than 45 seconds. There can be some maths question that can be done in, let's say, 1 minute-ish. There can be some questions that will take about 2 minutes. Some questions that will take about, let's say, 3 minutes or upwards of that. Okay. And let's take a simple distribution is that there is 25% of the question would be in each of these categories. Let's take a simple case. Okay. 25% of the questions. So let's kind of look at the easy or easy to moderate question. Let's say that that's about 50% of the question. Or even if let's take easy questions. Okay. The easy, if there are 40 questions, there'll be 10 easy questions. If there are 20 questions, there'll be 5 easy questions. Okay. And easy to moderate, let's say that will come to about 20 questions. This will be about 10 questions. What happens when there are more number of questions is that there'll be more number of easy questions. So naturally your score is going to improve because you've got lot of choices of easy questions. Here in this case, the choice of easy question is less. So yes, if there are less number of questions, the choices of the question that you have also reduces. Imagine, let's say in DLR, if you have 8 sets, and DLR, you only have 4 sets, the choices will also reduce. So the one thing that you must understand is the more number of questions is always good in that sense, because you'll get more choices. A lot of people just get worried about more number of questions because they say that, okay, now I have to solve everything. Oh, but you get a lot of choices. No, you can do whatever they can do in this 40 minutes. That's the whole idea, right? Now, let's take what could be the likely thing that can happen in these 3 cases. Likely thing that can, just the likely thing. So I've taken, for example, the logic of verbal ability and reading comprehension. So BA and RC. In the earlier case, in the past, you had 5 RC questions, 5 RC question, and each of these questions for 5 RC passages totaling to 24 questions. And BA's 10 questions. All these 10 questions are comprehension based. The comprehension based 10 question, which is like paragraph jumble, paragraph summary, odd sentences. Is about comprehending a paragraph. These are not grammar based questions, right? So what I've seen is that usually someone would probably take about 8 to 9 minutes per passage. Somebody is good. Some people can even solve in about 7 minutes. Some people take 8 minutes. Some people even take 10 minutes. So there are some people who would probably take 8 minutes per passage. Some people take 9 minutes per passage. Some may even take 10 minutes per passage. If someone is taking 8 minutes per passage for 5 passages, has got 40 minutes. 9 minutes per passage has got 45 minutes, and 10 minutes per passage I've got 50 minutes. Given the fact that it was total 60 minutes, even though there's 10 minutes per passage, I still have some 10 minutes to do the VA question. Let's kind of likely look at this case. This case, let's say for the sake of argument, I got 45 minutes and I've got 50 minutes to solve this 10 questions, which means on an average, I take about 1.5 minutes for the comprehension based question. That is logical. That's a logical thing. Okay. Now, obviously, if there is grammar-based questions, you'll get your or vocabulary-based questions. This will reduce. I'm saying that you can solve a question quickly because vocabulary-based question either you know or you don't know. So you can have more number of questions. I'm currently looking at comprehension-based questions, right? Okay. So now, if the paper is going to be like this, very comprehension-based paper, and now I have 40 minutes. Logically, if I was someone who's setting the paper, how am I thinking? Okay, so I'm thinking, okay, let's create a scenario of 3 RC passages. Let me create a scenario of 4 RC passages. Now, if I give a 3 RC passages and give someone 9 minutes on an average, assuming that these RC passages were about 500 words passage, let's assume that I'm going to create a 500 words passages, 500 words passages of 4 RC. If it's 9 minutes, 9 into 4 is 36 minutes. What is this? It's over. It is over. So this is very illogical to give 4 minutes from a perspective of, so obviously what is going to happen, there are 4 RCs, you can only solve 3 RCs. You have to leave out 1 RC passage. If there is 40 minutes, you'll solve 3 RCs. So from a question set point of view, this makes sense, right? 3 RCs, 9 minutes, that will get me the 30, that will probably give me about 27 minutes, which means I'm left with about 13 minutes, going by the same logic of 1.5 minutes. So basically what, about 6-7 questions? 7 about let's say about or about 7 BA comprehension based questions. So assuming, let's say that each of these RC passages, I can even think about saying that these 3 RC passages can have 4 questions each or 5 questions each. 5 questions each will get to about 15. 4 questions each will get to about 12. Total number of questions, 12 plus 7 is 19 to 23. So to me, the most likely case will be somewhere here. So it will be probably between this 20 to 25 is what to me logically it feels like. If you want to increase the number of questions, one way to simply increase the number of questions is add vocabulary based question and grammar based question. That you can add, let's say 5 more. So it's not going to take much time. So that can probably get to about 30. So otherwise, the logical thing that tells me the cat sticks to the very different thing. It's going to be very similar to, or probably closer to 20 than maybe getting into 25. 25 can still make sense. So basically, this will be the likely scenario. And according to me, it looks like a 20, unless of course there is vocabulary question. Now, if they have to give 4 RC passages, Now, 3 RC passages multiplied by 500 words each, that's about 1,500 words. 1,500 words. If there are 4 RC passages, then the number of words kind of have to reduce, right? So they allow to probably give you very short passages of 300 words each. That's also another possibility. Logically, I'm saying logically, but my sense is that it'll likely going to be 3 RCs. Likely going to be 3 reading comprehension passages plus a VA question. And a VA question is largely going to be comprehension based. That's how I've seen the CAT to be. Even if the vocabulary based. Yeah. So if I'm kind of looking at this as my benchmark to give about 20 DLR, maybe 5 sets, that makes sense, right? So if you kind of look at DLR, so a good set. There are some people who actually can solve 7 sets. And even 8 sets, some people can solve in those 60 minutes. So some people can solve 6 sets. 6 sets is amazing. That's kind of looking at 10 minutes per set, right? 10 minutes per set. So if I have 10 minutes per set, which means that gives me 4 sets somebody can solve. So let me give you a few more choices. So one more set. So 5 sets, about 5 sets. If it is multiplied by 4 questions each, seems to be the logical thing that I think I can see here. If somebody is given 6 sets to solve, let's imagine there is the 6 sets. Obviously, you're going to leave out probably 2 sets and maybe solve about 4 sets in those in the time that you have. So anyway, so QA, it wouldn't matter. So I think if it is, there is probably another case I can do. Instead of giving you this set based question, maybe I can reduce the number of make it small question, which is also very unlikely. CAT over the years has given a good set and then asked you about 3 to 4 questions here there. So my basic assumption is that is somewhere going to be in this particular case. So now if you don't come and kill me if that is not what is going to happen, but I've given my logic. I've given you my logic. So it would 22 will also make sense. On the higher side, it'll be about 75. This is an unlikely scenario, not impossible, very unlikely scenario. If this scenario happens in 13 VRC, then we can see VA questions including grammar and vocabulary and kind of this is unlikely scenario, very unlikely. So to me, it's going to be closer to about 20. That's my take. That's my take. Does it change anything? So if let's say if it is closer to that, it is not changing much, right? It's the same. It is just that what used to happen in 60 minutes, now you're doing in 40 minutes. That's all. So nothing much is changing in your preparation. I'm sure the type of questions the CAT is going to ask, the skill set the CAT is going to ask will be more or less the same. So you don't have to worry. But of course, there is going to be an impact. What is that impact? The impact in preparation would be largely because of people like me. See, I'm already scaring you with all this analysis and stuff. People like me, supposed gurus of the world, some people like me, and let's say, imagine there are 3 stakeholders here. No, one is obviously you, one is I am, and the third is a training institute, or let's say the coaching institutes, which I'm obviously a part of one of them, or a coach. There are 3 of them, all right. Eventually everything is decided by this party. So IIM decides. So we can speculate as much as basically IIM decide what is going to happen, right? So now imagine, let's say before the official mock test comes out, the institute has to create mock test, right? Has to create their mock test. How will the institute think about creating mock test? The institute is going to think about creating mock test by saying that this is one theory that I've used. So let's say I'm let's say in my mind I'm betting on this particular theory, and betting on theory, but I cannot keep on giving you questions of 20 questions each. What if the CAT becomes 25? What if a CAT becomes 28? You'll come and blame me, right? So I have to kind of save myself. So what is likely going to happen is that I will give you all sort of variations in the mock. Plus, I don't know how many RC passages is going to be. So I'm hoping that it's going to be 3 RC passages. What if there are 4? You'll come and kill me later. So therefore, these mock tests, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be full of experiments. it is going to be very unlikely that somebody is going to sit and say, I'm going to bet on this idea, I'm going to keep on giving you this particular thing. It's going to be full of experiments. Out of, let's say, the number, I don't know, by October end, let's assume that worst case in October end official mock tests comes out. We are looking at September last week. There are 4 weeks. In 4 weeks, my gut feeling is that people will probably come out with at least 5 mocks. 5 mocks, at least 5, maybe more, maybe about 5 mocks. These 5 mocks will have 5 different experiments. Okay, that's going to be one thing. So you never, that's going to be one huge issue that's going to happen from your case, which means you would be fully confused. You'll be kind of confused. So one of the things, before I get started in this case, hopefully by let's say, assume that by around this time, on a worst case scenario, let's assume that this is where we'll get to know the official mock, and I'm just talking about the worst case scenario. Official mock test. One, the official mock test comes out, and we'll by and large bet on the fact that they'll stick to that, at least that they stick to the pattern of the official mock test was very similar to but in fact, at least the pattern of the actual CAT will stick to it. So which means we have this period before it hits us, and we have got enough time, and therefore probably let's take a mock here, a mock there, a mock here, and mock there, and mock here, a mock there, and probably a mock 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 to 8 mocks would be by and large linked to that. The problem, the area that is going to happen is the area during this period of time. So we are I don't know where are we are here, right? So this is the period. This is a period which is going to be slightly painful, and how do we deal with this? One thing that you must look at, easy way to look at when all the experiments and stuff you're taking the test, is that you focus on percentage score. Percentile is one thing, but just focus on percentage score. So imagine the previous CAT, right? The previous CAT was 34 questions, 32 questions, and 34 questions, right? This is what, 102 marks. This is 96 marks. This is 102 marks. Let's assume this is close to 100 marks approximately, and a 300 marks. We know what is the 99 percentile score in BA was roughly last year was about 65. The 99 percentile score will be roughly about what, 40-ish. This was about 50-ish, something like that. Okay. 40 marks out of it. So just take this to be that percentage. Let's say overall, if you're targeting, let's say you used to target 150 as a score, overall it's looking at 150 as a score, you just consider your percentage score. And percentage score, the 3% score in each of the sections should add up to 150. It could be, let's say you're targeting 70 here, 30 here, and 50 here, could add up to that. So what you want to focus on is just take percentage score. Because the mock test that you're going to get has got a lot of these variations. So just take percentage score. And the percentile in the mock test is important, but I say just focus on percentage score. And other thing that you don't want to do is randomly keep on taking test after test after test after test after test. Let me take test from here. Let me take test from here. Let me take test from there. There's no need. I'm saying that you go with the same logic. According to me, just take one mock every week. Maybe let's say once in a while you can take one more mock here. So let's take mock there, and probably a mock there, and maybe a mock here, and stuff like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 8 mocks is more than sufficient. I think the variations and experiment is going to be huge, but with respect to VARC, quant will be more or less the same only. But you won't have any problem. The experiment will be with a lot of VAs and number of RC passages. So don't worry about all that. Okay, just focus on the percentage score. Even if, let's say, the paper has got 30 questions, and let's say 90 marks. 90 marks of the 30 questions, you basically calculate and say that, look, I would want to have I would want to look at the net percentage as my score. Just focus on the percentage score. Of the more number of questions, and likely that the percentage score will reduce, but that's by and large just focus on your percentage score and say that the variation will. I think most of the mocks is going to mock the mock test. Logically, I'm sure that would go around this one. Okay, it will be probably between these. Most of the mock tests will hover around this. It is very rare that somebody might give you a mock test with 30 questions each. They could. Maybe one of them, but mostly it's going to hover around this. So that is my advice here. Okay, sorry. Okay. Yeah. So the basic point that I'm making before I end is just that there is not the cat is testing the same thing. There is nothing you need to worry. Whatever worry that you're facing is a worry that is faced by everyone else. It's the same skill set that is being tested. Just don't get carried away with all these uh, different kind of experiments that you'll get in the mock test in the coming days. Just take each mock test and see and take care of it. But I'm sure that by the time it is and just focus on the basics. Ensure that you keep studying what you've been studying, do the revision study, and once this happens, we still have enough time to get used to whatever the final pattern that's going to come. All right, bye.